let me take you to northern Thailand and the mountains of Mae Hong Son.
I'll take you to the art capital of Vietnam.
Come with me offshore. I'll show you one of the most beautiful harbors in the world.
Hi, I'm Kannan Menon. Welcome to the show. This week we're in Mae Hong Son in the far north of Thailand, just a few miles from the Burmese border. Mae Hong Son is the kind of place where nature speaks for itself.
You could write a book about Mae Hong Son, but for me, I'll stick with postcards. I call it the after breakfast dilemma. You really should see the sights, but you're so relaxed, you just want to stay planted at the hotel. And there's a lot planted here. Situated in a fertile valley within view of mountain mists, the folks at the Imperial have perfected the art of taming the jungle. The general manager told me I wasn't the first guest wanting to savor this environment.
Some people like to stay in a hotel 4 or 5 days. They just want one day to to the tours, and then they eat, sleep, and relax in here, even around the pool area. Very nice.
Hotel gardeners take great care in manicuring their several acres of civilized jungle. Especially important since you'll find here a grove of the increasingly precious and protected teak trees. The grounds of the Imperial Terra are also historic. In the past centuries, royal orders were sent to gather elephants from this river valley to defend the Siamese nation. It gave the town its name.
So the king sent someone to catch the wild elephant. Mae Hong Son means the place where they teach elephant. Like in the stream down here, like that, elephant cannot go away. So they use this kind of a stream or river, a narrow river, to teach the elephant how to work,
Each of the hotel's 73 rooms isn't so much a room with a view, but a view with a room, and saunas, pool, and fitness center. Thai travelers and other Asians only account for a third of the guest lists. Curiously enough, it's the European and North Americans who seem most at home here.
It's very interesting because of the culture and the people being totally different than the Europeans, and just because of the nature and a lot of nice places to see.
Natural scenic wonder takes top billing in any postcard from Mae Hong Son, or lasting impressions written in any journal.
Reading and reflection are the order of the day on the manicured grounds of this luxury hotel under the sheltering canopy of the trees of Mae Hong Son. Once elephants roamed here, then people came drawn by the great beasts. New places, new sights, and new people, as the border becomes more porous, and as people are drawn to this remote corner of Thailand. The heat of summer is tempered here by sudden breezes, brief sun showers, and mountain mist. With all these mountains around here, you really should take advantage of them. River rafting, for instance, or better still, get a good guide and take a 2 to 3 day trek into the mountains. Mae Hong Son has no nightlife, but in the dark velvet nights here you feel more alive than ever before. The wooded hills glow as the sun slips through the cloud cover. The more different Mae Hong Son is, the more it seems fascinating to the traveler from faraway places.
My grandfather came here since my father very young, more than 50 years old.
And
50 years. Yes.
And he started the shop, your grandfather?
Yes. Mae Hong Son is very peaceful and many things.
As we came over a crest, We saw in the valley below a number of thatched houses spreading down the hillside from the side of the road. No one seemed concerned when we stopped and walked by the houses, talking to the children who raced along the slopes. As the afternoon light waned, some adults arrived from the fields or the market, driving home in their pickup trucks. The end of the day in the hills of Mae Hong Son. Mae Hong Son has quite a few stores with Burmese antiques, so if you spot something that looks good and is reasonably priced, go for it because you might not get it anywhere else. Oh, and one other thing that the people here are especially proud of, the fact that it's a town with just one traffic light, and here it is. And now, let's take a look at what's going places.
The streets of Hanoi are a lot quieter than they were a year ago, following measures taken to curb cultural pollution. The Vietnamese Congress is assessing the value of tourism to the nation's development and the impact it is having on culture. The Communist Party has been critical of how Western influence had changed the face and character of Ho Chi Minh City, and a concerted effort is being made to ensure that the capital Hanoi doesn't go the same way. Hanoi's city administrators have closed down several nightclubs and removed Western billboards which have been deemed socially evil. Travel agents have been encouraged to move away from the central business district, where rents have doubled over the past 3 years.
Where it's lacking still is in the inbound tourism industry. Operators like DTAM are not allowed to set up their own inbound ventures. We have signed a joint venture 4 years ago with one of the main Vietnamese partners, and for some reason Vietnam had decided to cease giving operating licenses to foreign tour operators.
But it is in Hanoi's old quarter where stringent efforts are being targeted to preserve the city's character. Many of the multi-storey houses and buildings are more than 100 years old and have become one of the city's main attractions. Entire streets in the old quarter have been classified as national heritage, and laws are being evoked to prevent the destruction of any historic building.
Once you start allowing curtain wall buildings to go in, you've lost it. So they want to go slowly and learn from other people's mistakes and learn from other people's successes.
Unlike Ho Chi Minh, demand for upmarket accommodation exceeds supply in Hanoi. But the completion of another 12 luxury hotels over the next 2 years will mean that Hanoi will soon have an oversupply of rooms. While hotels continue to expand, Congress has warned that tourism expectations are too high and that the benefits need to be spread more broadly to all communities rather than to what it terms as a tourism elite.
For more information on travelling to Vietnam, you can contact the country's tourism office or surf this site on the internet.
Well, in a traditional Thai shop like this one, it's customary to take off your shoes before you walk inside, perhaps because of these very nice teak floors. And you might find a range of items here that are very traditional, like those temple candles over there that we saw earlier, which go for about 200 baht each. Oh, and it's time for a break. And when we come back, some travel tips.
Keep an eye on the following travel tip brought to you by the Tourism Authority of Thailand, which invites you to visit during the amazing Thailand years 1998 to 99. Experience the splendours of a kingdom.
Welcome back. You know, if you've had as high a dosage of this environment as I have, you're bound to feel as relaxed as I do, which is exactly the way you need to feel if you're heading out to the golf links. And on that note, let's turn to the Golf Traveler.
If you need to hire a pair of golf shoes, most golf clubs have rental shoes available, but it's best to check ahead. It is important to choose hire shoes that have a very good fit. Don't worry about style, brand or colour, and never wear shoes that are too small. There is nothing worse than playing a round of golf in a pair of ill-fitting golf shoes, so it is always better to wear a larger size shoe and another pair of socks. If you're going to the driving range, it is okay to wear your street shoes, as the great Sam Snead used to do was practice in his street shoes, and if he slipped, he knew he was swinging poorly. So enjoy your game of golf.
Now let's go on the road with Mark McCormack.
I've heard more than one busy executive boast that after family members, the most important person in his or her life was his or her travel agent. Now, I suppose that says something about how much these people travel, but in my opinion, if you're truly serious about executive travel, your best travel agent looks you in the bathroom mirror every morning. Now, I have nothing against most travel agents. However, it's only human for them to sometimes put the best interests of the traveler slightly behind the best interests of the airlines whose computer reservation systems they use. As a result, I'm convinced that I am my own best travel agent. The more I travel, the better I am at doing it myself. By being my own travel agent, I'm free to expand the range of options open to me. My personal profile is constantly updated and always up to the minute. I can see whether going a day sooner or a day later makes much more sense than my original target flight date. I can determine whether flying through Vienna rather than Frankfurt will save me a couple of hours. I can choose whether I prefer to take the blue train overnight or sleep in a hotel and catch a plane the next morning. Being your own travel agent takes a little more effort, but the reward is worth it. It gives me back the one thing that I always feel I'm losing on the road, the sense that I'm still in control. I'm Mark McCormack, doing business on the road.
Oh, rubies. And what are these? What are these? Rubies. Rubies from Burma. Huh. So, while I take a closer look at this double-headed golden bracelets, why don't you take a look at travel tag?
Voted best caterer in the region by other leading airlines, Thai Airways certainly has a recipe for success. But behind the smooth as silk operation is a system of procedures and regulations that has enabled Thai to dish out over 32,000 meals a day. It's no piece of cake and requires some advanced planning, while in fact a full day ahead.
We need good suppliers. That's actually very, very important to get the most fresh food coming inside our production. And then we need to, when we do the preparation, we have a certain way to prepare things, yeah, fast as we can, of course. And then, of course, there will be the cooking part, okay. And what is also very important after that, we need the hot meal to cool it down very fast.
And stored for another 12 hours in a blast chiller, where the raw food is cooled down to 5 degrees Celsius in less than 90 minutes to stop bacterial growth. The meals are cooked 6 hours before departure, stored again before being reheated on board just before serving. Here at the Thai kitchen, hygiene is the top priority. Now, each preparation room is separated to prevent cross-contamination. I'm not even allowed to take off my hat to do this. Every step of the cooking process is subject to strict quality controls and double-checked periodically by 49 other airline customers to ensure that regulations have been met.
They'll send their own inspector to check from input to output. Input means how do we receive all the raw materials and how do we store the temperature as it's supposed to be is according to the valid regulations or not. And then again, how's the processing system throughout to the transportation.
400 kilos of tenderloin, 25,000 eggs, 3 tons of flour and 2,000 people go towards the daily preparation of thousands of meals. For passengers with specific diets, there are special meals for vegetarians, diabetics and even low-calorie ones for slimmers. Well, not these though. The pastry chef has concocted over 25 different variety of desserts for added sweetness. Frequent flyers may notice changes in the menu. For short-haul flights to Singapore, for instance, it's rotated every 10 days. With these ingredients, it's no wonder the Thai catering services remain a vital part of the airlines.
Midsummer in Mae Hong Son. It's 28 degrees down in the valley, but the mountain tops are still covered with a fine mist. But if you do get here towards the end of the year, don't forget to bring a sweater because at night the temperatures can get down to freezing. And now let's take a break, and when we return, we'll go offshore. Behind me are two temples, Wat Chong Kam and Wat Chong Klang. Wat Chong Kam was built over 200 years ago, and in 1984 it became a royal temple. This is the tranquil heart of Mae Hong Son. So, while I take a closer look at these two temples, why don't you take a trip offshore?
In Chinese, Hong Kong means fragrant harbor. While you wouldn't want to spend time smelling it, the sights of the city and islands in and around Victoria Harbor are simply breathtaking. A harbor tour should be right at the top of your list of must-dos when visiting this bustling British and very Chinese enclave on the Pearl. With over 30 tours daily, there's a boat trip to fit everyone's budget and schedule. There's the Furama Hotel, the Mandarin Oriental Central District. Have your camera ready because the sights are really awesome. Water Tours of Hong Kong, now in business for 30 years, will pick you up in their fancy junk-like boat on either side of the harbor and offer 18 different tours.
We've got so many. Morning harbor cruise, afternoon harbor, and harbor night cruise.
Okay.
And also we've got Lantau tours, Chang Chow, and dinner cruise.
As our guide Janice narrated in English, the captain sailed us toward the eastern end of the island, past the cultural center in Sim Sa Choi, and past several five-star hotels with seaside views. On both Kowloon side and Hong Kong side, I was lusting after some of the most expensive housing in the world. Here you don't get much space for your money, but you're that much closer to the airport. After dark, with city lights glistening on the harbor, Hong Kong can only be described as magic. For this romantic evening at sea, sharing was essential. My friend Evelyn and I boarded the SS Pearl of Hong Kong for a very classy Chinese sit-down dinner complete with Peking duck and French wine. Food and service were top-notch. The only clowning around came from the light-hearted nightclub act, which stole away my date to enhance their own act. And if you're tired of Chinese food, get on board sister ship Pearl of the Orient. Its Western buffet cruise is an equally tasty, if a somewhat more sedate, candlelight experience, lion dance included. How can you sign up for all these tours?
Most popular way is contact the tour agents or the hotel concierge or come to our office.
And if you've run out of time and money but still want to get out on the harbor, there's a cruise that costs $2 Hong Kong and takes only 7 minutes. The Star Ferry Harbor Crossing.
You can find more details about Hong Kong at this address on the web.
Sampler Forest Park. This is a beautiful wooded glade, and it's a great spot for a picnic lunch. So get your hotel to pack your box lunch and sit at one of the picnic tables under the trees. The other big attraction here is the fish cave, and to take a look at that, we're going to follow this stream right here as it meanders out from under the hill behind us. This is a stream that wanders under the hills here, and it's filled with Sora brook carp. They seem to get very excited when people approach them. I wonder why. Speaking of fish, let's see what's cooking with Mrs. Balbert.
There's one very special herb, and it's known for its different benefits. Guess what? That's the basil leaf. Herbal doctors believe that boiling basil leaf with some water and drinking the juice help relieve coughs. Grow basil leaf in your balcony, and that takes care of the mosquitoes. Put some basil leaf in your kitchen cupboards and get rid of your cockroaches. In India, people would pray to the basil leaves under the rising sun. But in Thailand, people cook with basil leaves. Here in Thailand, we have 2 different kinds of basil leaves. That's the holy basil leaf or bai kapao and the sweet basil leaf by hualapa. And now I'm going to show you a very popular dish from Thailand, and that's kai pat bai kapao or chicken with basil leaves. And now, let's see what's happening around Asia.
If you're traveling in the region, make sure you catch the China Tourist Festival in Guangzhou, the Chinese Lunar Festival in Songkhla, Thailand, the Lantern Festival display in Singapore, the Borneo Cup Motocross Championship in Sarawak, and Tourism Indonesian Mart and Expo in Jakarta.
Well, that's all on the show for today. I'm going to spend the rest of my day with some of my new friends. See you next time. Hello.